Hi guys, it's Izzy and welcome back to the channel. Sorry if the angle is a little bit weird. I've got my camera on the tripod. I think it might be a little bit wonky, but you know what? We're just rolling with it because that's what we've got. And my hair's now officially too long to even fit in the camera. It's so long. And I keep saying I'm getting a haircut, and I am getting a haircut, but my body keeps saying no. But maybe in the next video I'll have had a haircut. Who knows? But yeah, so I hope the angle is okay. Today is the 1st of June, and you know what that means. It's Pride Month, yes. And I, the oracle of all queer books, I am here to give you all your queer book needs. Now, I have done many other videos recommending queer books to you. I've done 2 LGBTQ plus book recommendations and 1 video dedicated to female romance, but not female romance books, books with female romances in them. So I've tried not to include books that I've talked too much about before. So if you're like, Izzy, where's like The Diviners? Where's The House in the Cerulean Sea? Where's Girls of Paper and Fire? Where's Cryo's War? Where's The Starless Sea? I figured you probably have heard me talk about them enough. And if you haven't, go watch my other videos. And I wanted to give you new and different recommendations so that you can have many options of books to read this Pride Month. I've tried to include as many like identities, sexualities, gender identities as I possibly could. If I have missed one, I am sorry. Let me know if you know any books that have those identities in them. Now, I am not that well, and it is also very hot, so I'm going to try and be as quick as possible doing this, because we have 25 books, and this was a shortened list, guys, and we still have 25 recommendations. So I am going to tell you what the book is, a short synopsis of what the book is about, the identities that it contains, just in case you're looking for something in particular, and like what star rating I gave it. I'm not going to talk about whether I liked the book or not. I mean, I liked all these books, that's why I'm recommending them to you, but I'm not going to talk too much about my opinion on them, because I've either done that in previous videos or I just don't have time or energy, and I'm trying to make this video not 3 hours long. So with that all out the way, let's get started with this recommendation video. This is in no particular order. I have the large majority of the books with me because I love these books, and a few I don't own physically, tragically. So yes, without any further rambling, Izzy, let's get started. The first book I'm going to talk about is The Rise of Kaioshi by FCE. This is a book that is based off Avatar: The Last Airbender, the TV series, which I love with all my heart, and this follows Avatar Kaioshi, one of the previous avatars, as she finds out she's the Avatar and takes on Avatar duties. This has a female romance. I'm not sure if they ever specify identities, because I mean it's a fantasy world, so it doesn't really work the same, but both are into girls, and this has a great female romance. Like, it's really good, like really good. This book is great. I gave it 4.5 stars. I'm currently reading the second one. It's a duology. If you like Avatar, pick this book up. I assure you, you will be obsessed with it. It's so good. If you don't know what Avatar is, read this book, watch the TV show, you're missing out, okay? Okay, up next, again this is in no particular order, I'm going to mention Heartstopper. I know I mention this all the time, but just as a quick mention, Heartstopper is a very cute graphic novel series by Alice Oseman. It follows Nick and Charlie who meet in school and start dating, and it's just very cute about their romance. And there's 4 volumes out now. I own all of them, this is just the first one. And it also explores Charlie's mental health with dealing with anorexia and like anxiety and depression and bullying and stuff. So the 4th volume does deal with that, but all the books contain trigger warnings at the start, so if you're sensitive to that, like check the trigger warnings, or you can even DM me if you need to ask me about trigger warnings, please, for any of these books. If you are concerned about whether they might be triggering for you, just send me a message and I can help give you the trigger warnings for these books, because I also have many triggers and I know it can be really difficult. So yeah, that's just a preface. If you need any help, I'm here to help. But yes, great book about queerness and young queer boys being happy and in love, but also dealing with mental health. This is being made into a TV show, which is so incredibly exciting. Alice Oseman is writing the TV show, so I trust her and I know it's going to be amazing. There's 4 volumes. Nick is bisexual, Charlie is gay. The side characters are all queer. We've got lesbians, we've got a trans character, we've just everything. Everything is in Heartstopper, so pick it up. On to the next one. Camp by Elsie Rosen. This is a book about a queer summer camp and a boy who... Oh, I just remembered, I gave Heartstopper all 5 stars. I'm predictable. Sorry, Camp follows a boy who goes to this queer summer camp every year, and this year he decides to kind of reinvent himself because his crush only seems to go for like more masculine guys, and so he decides he's going to be a whole new person in order to get this guy, and it explores identity, respectability politics, the importance of being yourself, and how affecting the prejudice against the queer community can be, like how it can actually have a genuine long-lasting effect. But overall, this is a funny and joyful book about queerness, and you learn a bit about queer history, and they put on like musicals but like queer, and there's so many queer side characters. I'm pretty sure every identity is in this book at some point in one of the side characters, but the main character, Randy, is gay. And I gave that 5 stars. Up next we have... Yikes. The First Sister by Lyndon A. Lewis. This is a adult sci-fi book that follows some of... I do not know how to describe this book to you. It's just really good and you should read it. I'm just going to read you the blurb because it's really confusing and I can't do a good job at explaining it. Confusing in a good way. Once you read it, it's not confusing, but it's just really hard to explain. First Sister has no name and no voice. As a priestess of the sisterhood, she travels the stars alongside the Guian soldiers of Earth and Mars, who own the rights to her body and soul. When her former captain abandons her, First Sister's hopes for freedom are dashed, and she is forced to stay on her ship with no friends, no status, and a new captain, Saito Ren, who she knows nothing about. But Captain Ren has a secret, and First Sister is commanded by the head of her order to find out what it is. What starts as a simple task quickly becomes complicated as First Sister and Ren grow closer, and she realises that sacrificing for the war effort is so much harder to do when your loyalties are split. Leto Val Lucius has no faith and no loyalty. He climbed his way out of the slums to become an elite Ikari soldier of Venus, but was defeated in combat by none other than Saito Ren, resulting in the disappearance of his partner, Hiro. Now Leto has discovered that Hiro is both alive and a traitor to the cause. If Leto hunts down and kills his former partner, he will be offered a shot at redemption, but to do so Leto will have to choose between following orders and his heart. As the war between the Guians and the Ikari reaches a head, Leto and the First Sister must decide what and whom they are willing to sacrifice in the name of duty or for love. So that's what it's about, and it has a non-binary character who uses they them pronouns, and it has a queer relationship. I mean, dates is kind of hard in space, but there's queerness, okay? And I really loved the addition of the non-binary character, and I'm like 99% sure it's own voices. If it's not, I'll put it on the screen, but I think pretty much all of these are own voices. I think all of them are. I hope maybe one or two of them are, but for the most part, I only read own voices queer books, so yeah. Oh, and I gave First Sister 4 stars or 4.5 stars. I can't quite remember. Okay, we're only on book 4, so we need to move at a faster pace, people. Up next, The Mermaid, the Witch in the Sea by, I didn't put the author's name on my notes, and we do not have time to look it up, so I'll put it on the screen. This is a book about pirates and mermaids and sacrifice and family and adventure, and did I mention pirates? It's a very weird book, but it's beautifully written, it's very impactful, and it's just really a masterpiece of literature. It's young adult fantasy, I would categorise it as, but it's inherently queer. The main character, I believe they're gender fluid. I think that's kind of what they settle on, but because it's a fantasy world, things work a little bit differently, and the love interest is sapphic. So yeah, it's a very queer book, and yeah, it's just really good, but it is really sad, and it definitely, I would suggest checking the trigger warnings, because it definitely has some trigger warnings for sexual abuse, I believe, or some kind of abuse. It's been a while since I read it, but I gave it 4 stars, and yeah, it's got like gender fluidity rep and sapphic rep, and it's just a really good book. So yes, up next we have Things a Bright Girl Can Do by Sally Nichols. This is a YA historical fiction novel about 3 girls living in the early 1900s during the suffragette movement, and it follows these 3 girls as they kind of navigate this period of time where they are fighting for the rights of women, and how they feel about that, and how they can do something when they feel kind of powerless. And one of the characters is, I believe, a lesbian, and there is a sapphic romance. So, actually no, 2 of the characters are sapphic. There's a sapphic romance, one of them's definitely a lesbian. It's a great book. I gave it either 4 or 4.5 stars, can't quite remember, but read it. Then up next, this probably doesn't need to be said because it's just a given, but One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston. If you're thinking, I know that name, it's because they wrote Red, White and Royal Blue, one of my favourite books of all time, and if you want a queer book recommendation that's not on this list, read Red, White and Royal Blue, but I'm pretty sure everyone on BookTube has read Red, White and Royal Blue, so if you haven't, what are you doing with your life? But One Last Stop is Casey McQuiston's new book. I believe it comes out today, actually. I was lucky enough to get an arc of it, which is like the most precious possession to me, and it is a adult sapphic rom-com-y book with a sci-fi twist, where basically our main character August falls in love with a girl who is stuck on a New York subway train and is from the 70s. Yeah, it's great. I gave it 4.5 stars. I think at the time I read it, I wasn't doing that great mentally, so I do think if I'd read it at a different time, it would be a 5-star like Red, White and Royal Blue. So it's more of a it's not you, it's me situation. This has great friendship, great romance. It's sexy, it's romantic, it's angsty, it's just everything you could want from an adult rom-com, and Casey McQuiston does not disappoint, and their banter and friendships and everything they write is just so good. So if you're watching this, go and buy this book. And also Casey McQuiston uses any pronouns, so that's cool. And August is bisexual and Jane, the love interest, is a lesbian, but there's also like a side trans character, and like, yeah, side queer character. I think all the side characters are queer. Casey McQuiston does not disappoint when it comes to queer characters, so yeah, read it. I'm hoping I'm not talking too fast or doing a bad job at this, or I'm not talking too slow. I don't know. I hope this is okay. This is what you're getting, so it's gonna have to be okay. Up next, Felix Ever After by Casey Callender. This is a young adult contemporary novel about our main character Felix, who I believe ends up identifying as a demi-boy. I'll correct myself if I'm wrong, but it's a book that he explores his gender identity. He is trans, and he's transitioned from female to male, but then he still doesn't feel quite right with his label of male, so yeah, he explores that throughout the book, and he is sort of like blackmailed with photos being released of him prior to his transition, and like his dead name being released and stuff like that, and it kind of follows his messy way of dealing with that, and also dealing with the fact that he has an absent mother, a father who is accepting but doesn't really understand, and a best friend who loves him but maybe loves him as more than a friend, and what to do about that. And yeah, it's a really great book. I think Casey Callender did a fantastic job at representing realistic, honest, messy teenagers, and I really loved that about it. I think I gave this book 3.5 stars or 4 stars, I can't quite remember, but yeah, it's a really great book for gender exploration, and yeah, I mean, there's a queer romance and the side characters are queer. It's a very queer book, and it's also absolutely stunning, so I mean, you should buy it for the cover alone. I'm just saying. But also it's a good book. But you know, pretty covers are important too. Whew, I'm out of breath. Let's have a water break. Up next, my favourite book of the year so far, Honey Girl by Morgan Rogers. This is a this is an adult romance contemporary novel. It's another book that's hard to explain because when you explain it, it doesn't sound like much, but then when you read it, it's like a magical experience. But basically it follows our main character, Grace Porter, who has just finished doing her PhD in astronomy and is kind of like, what the hell do I do now? I've been studying my entire life, and now what am I supposed to do with my life? And she gets drunk and gets married to a girl in Las Vegas. And then they get to know each other after they're married. I mean, god tier trope, am I right? And it's queer. Grace is a lesbian. Is Yuki a lesbian? The love interest is either a lesbian or sapphic, and it follows Grace as kind of realises she doesn't know what to do with her life, has a bit of a breakdown about it, tries to escape her problems, then goes to therapy, and actually turns out therapy is good for you, and it explores friendship, found family, romance. It's the most stunning book like I've ever read. It's written so beautifully. Every sentence is like magic. It was like a warm, comforting balm to my soul, and it was one of those books where it's like, did you like open up my brain and just like write what was in there? Because me and Grace, we're too similar, it got too real, and I love this book with all my heart, and it's also super gay, so that's great. I gave this book 5 stars. If you want to hear me talk about it a bit more in depth, I talked about it in my reading update thing that I did, so check that out. Whew, we are making progress. There are still a lot of books to go, so let's keep going. The Last Three Poets of the Sea. I would say this is a YA counterpart to Honey Girl. They're not related in any way, but they gave me similar vibes. So if you're not an adult reader, or likewise if you're not a young adult reader, read Honey Girl, and if you don't want to read Honey Girl, read The Last Three Poets of the Sea, because they give a similar vibe of being too understood. You know, I felt too seen, like they exposed me. But The Last Three Poets of the Sea is a young adult contemporary book about our main character Violet, whose brother attempts suicide at the start of the... Sir, can you not? Who attempts suicide at the start of the book and then goes into treatment for his depression, etc. And Violet is sent off to live with an uncle in some tiny place in Maine, and it follows her as she kind of processes her life and how it feels to have someone she loves attempt suicide, and her own mental health issues, and yeah, kind of what to do with her life and the person she wants to be. And it has a sapphic romance. I believe both Violet and the love interest are bisexual, and yeah, it's just a really, really beautiful book. It made me cry. It's about the fact that existence hurts, and sometimes it's hard to want to be alive, which hits a little too close to home, I'm going to be honest. So I haven't reread this book because I know it's going to break me again. But read it, it's great. Next up, Loveless by Alice Oseman. This is a YA contemporary, maybe new adult, because she's in college. She's starting college? I don't know. So that still counts as YA? I think so. I mean, she's only like 17, 18. And it follows Georgia, who goes to college in Durham and discovers her asexuality and that she's aromantic. And yeah, it's a book that I know is very close to Alice Oseman's heart. She is asexual and aromantic, and this is just a really cool book about self-acceptance, friendship, love, Shakespeare, university, how university can kind of suck, side characters are queer. It's a good time. Alice Oseman is the best. I think I gave it 4 stars. I believe so. God, having long hair makes things really hot. It is hot in England today, and I do not do well in the heat. Then we have The Love Study by... I didn't take notes properly, so I don't know who it's by. But this is a adult romance about 2 people that do a study on love and do a podcast, YouTube show thing about it, and then fall in love. Wow, Izzy, you're so good at explanations. Thank you so much. But the main character is non-binary, I believe. As far as I remember, they go by they, them pronouns. And yeah, there's a queer romance. It's cool. I gave it 3 or 3.5 stars. I just wanted to mention it because, like, adult romances are pretty straight as a genre. And it was cool to see not only like a gay relationship or a sapphic relationship, but yeah, a relationship that involves different gender identities, and that's why I'm mentioning it. So there you go. Then Fence, the novel, rather than the graphic novel. I haven't actually read the graphic novel, which is probably like blasphemy, but hey ho. A novel about boys who live at a boarding school and Fence. Sounds not that interesting, but it's great. It's a young adult novel. It has like childhood, like best friends to lovers trope, which I'm obsessed with, and it has a male-male relationship. I believe they're both gay. One of them might be bisexual. I I don't really remember. There's 4 main characters, and to be honest, my memory of it isn't that good, but I gave it 4 stars. It was a great time if you're looking for like a contemporary romance that doesn't deal with anything too heavy and is just cute and tropey. I would highly recommend. Then The Love Curse of Melody McIntyre by Robin Talley. I just happen to know who the author is for this one. I didn't write it down. I love Robin Talley. Her book, Music from Another World, is one of my favourite books, but I've mentioned it in my like female romance, female book recommendation video. Sorry, my brain's all over the place, but The Love Curse of Melody McIntyre is a YA contemporary that follows our main character, Melody McIntyre, who thinks she has a love curse, and she is the stage manager for her school production, and the cast and crew are like, you can't date anyone because it always messes things up. So she's not supposed to date anyone, but then along comes this girl who's like kind of a celebrity, and like she's kind of being treated differently, and like Melody like makes friends with her eventually and like earns her trust, and then they like kind of fall in love, and then Melody is like, oh damn, I've fallen in love and now I've like betrayed my classmates, what do I do? It's angsty, it's fun, I loved it. It's got a sapphic romance. I don't remember. No, Melody's definitely bisexual. I don't remember if the love interest is bisexual or a lesbian. I think she might be a lesbian, but don't hold me to that. But yeah, I gave it 4 stars, I believe. It was a good time. Up next, The Animals of Lockwood Manor by, who are you? Jane Healy. This is a adult, how do you describe this? Thriller, mystery thing, set in the Second World War, and it follows a woman who is in charge of keeping stuffed animals safe, the ones that are used for scientific research. She is evacuated along with all these specimens to a mansion, Lockwood Manor, and she has to stay there to look after these very precious stuffed animals, and then the house turns creepy and everyone starts going a little bit insane, and there's like dead animals, and like it's kind of messed up, but it's so good. And yeah, there's a sapphic romance and it's beautiful and I love it very much, and this book just like blew my mind. I just loved it so much. Did I give it 4.5 stars or 5 stars? I don't recall, but it's great, and it also is absolutely stunning. Like, look at this special edition, it's so beautiful. But yeah, it's adult, it's sapphic, it's creepy in the best way. I've talked about it before, but I'm mentioning it again. I'm such a hot mess. This is such a mess, but this is a great book. Okay. Oh, I'm so tired. Beyond the Ruby Veil by Mara Fitzgerald. This is a YA. How would you describe this weird book? Fantasy with a hint of horror, because at some point eyeballs are removed and eaten, and if I haven't sold you already, then like, what are you doing with your life? But yeah, no, this book is messed up. This is a messed up book. I don't know how to describe it, but the main character is gay, her best friend is gay, and I believe there's going to be kind of like a psycho-sapphic relationship, and you know what? I'm down for it. But basically everyone's dying of thirst because of Emanuela and her stupidity, and so she tries to save her town, mainly because she wants to rule it. Emanuela is not a good person, but like, I wanted her to step on me, you know, like she was kind of a bit, like she became a villain, but I still was like, that's hot of you, thank you. So yeah, this book is messed up, but I'm so excited for the second book because Mara Fitzgerald said, watch me, you know? You think someone's not going to do something, and Mara was just like, you know what? Watch me do exactly that. So I love that for her. I gave it 4 stars, I believe. It's really gay. Yeah. God, I have so many books to recommend and so little energy. Even If We Break by Marieke Nijkamp. This is a YA thriller about 5 friends who have kind of drifted apart and decide for one last hurrah to go to this cabin that they used to go to and play this role-play game that they've kind of made up. And then murder starts to happen. So that's fun. This is a really great murder mystery thriller book. It's got such great representation. There's a character with chronic pain who uses crutches. There's a character who's autistic. There's a character... Is there a non-binary character? I believe there is, because I know Marieke Nijkamp is non-binary and also autistic and also chronically ill. We love that. We love to see that representation. There's a relationship, between the non-binary character and another one of the characters, and I think someone else is bisexual. I don't really remember, because I mean this is more about the thriller, mystery, murdery aspect, but it's got a lot of representation. And again, if you're looking for a character, I know non-binary characters are quite hard to come by, so that's why I wanted to mention a few books with that representation. So yeah, this book is great. It doesn't get great reviews, and I feel this is a conversation for another video, but the reviews I've read feel a little ableist. Gonna be honest. But we do not have time to unpack that right now, so read this book. I loved it. I gave it 4 stars, I believe. Oh my god, why did I recommend so many books? Oh. Heartbreak Boys by Simon James Green. This is a YA contemporary story about 2 boys who decide to try and get back at their exes who cheated on them with each other by pretending to have this perfect relationship by posting on social media. So it's kind of like a fake dating situation, and they go on a holiday, and it's just really sweet, and it's just a really great, it's a UK YA, which we don't have enough of, and it's just a really nice book about summer love and messy teenage boys and being out when you're in school and how that can be tricky. And it's kind of like they used to be friends and then they drifted apart and then they've come back together and they like each other, and it's just really, really cute, and I love it, and I really enjoyed it. And if you're looking for a summery, fun romance contemporary, then I would highly recommend this. Both main characters are gay and their boyfriends are queer because they dated. Then we have, I'm going to mention this one quickly because I feel like everyone knows this one, but Cemetery Boys by Aidan Thomas, a book about ghosts. Yeah, it's mainly about ghosts, and I don't really remember that well what else it's about, but it's got a trans main character and male romance, and it's a good book. I personally gave it 3.5 stars, but everyone else gave it 5 stars, so I'm pretty sure I'm in the minority there. But yeah, I'm pretty sure everyone's heard of this book, but it's really beautiful, and you should read it because it's queer as hell. Okay, we are on the home stretch, people. The Weight of Stars by Kay Ankrum. This is a book about 2 girls who they want to go to space. They kind of hate each other at first, and then they help. The main character helps the love interest listened for radio signals from her mum, who's an astronaut. Sounds weird, but is beautiful. Gave it 4 stars. It's a beautiful exploration of family, friendship, future, what all of that means, found family, letting people in, trauma. It is a weird book, but it's so beautifully written, and it has a sapphic romance, and I believe they're both bisexual, but don't hold me to that, and like all their friends are queer, so yeah, it's super queer, and it's written in a cool format. You probably can't see, but each title is like lunch, the next day, 1 day in 5 hours, 3 hours, 21 minutes and 17 seconds. Gonna be honest though, I'm kind of dumb and I still don't really know what that means, but it was cool, okay? And look, there's like space pages, yay. It's sapphic, it's great. I give it 4 stars. Why am I a booktuber? I'm terrible at this. The Deathless Girls by Kieran Millwood Hargrave. This is a YA sort of retelling of Dracula. It's about vampires, but also not. It's about sisterhood, it's about love, sacrifice, trauma. I used to think to make people feel afraid was a curse, an awful thing, but I'd love for them to fear me. I want them to look at me and weep. And I think that's a very cool excerpt. I feel like this is a book that's better if you just don't know that much before going into it, because it's kind of wild and beautiful, and yeah, I just think it's one of those books that's better not knowing too much. It's kind of about vampires, but mainly about sisterhood and sacrifice and love, and I believe the main character is a lesbian. I believe the love interest is also a lesbian. Either way, it's very sapphic, and I love it. Kieran Millwood Hargrave also wrote The Mercies, which is an adult sapphic book, and I would recommend it, but it's very sad. And this book is also kind of sad, but not as sad as The Mercies. Honestly, don't. That's why The Mercies isn't on this list, because I can't deal with that pain, and I don't want to put anyone else through it, so read at your risk. Girl, Serpent, Thorn by Melissa Bashardoust. I've talked about this a lot, it's one of my favourite books. It's a Persian fairy tale inspired fantasy book that follows our main character Soraya, who has been cursed to poison everyone she touches, and then one day she finds out her mother has been lying to her, and she decides to set out to break this curse, and it's about morality and yeah, mainly about morality and like who is right and who is wrong and who can decide that, and what makes you a monster, and it's stunning, like so stunning. I love it so much. This book is just incredible. Like, just read this book. Like, please, I'm begging you, just read this book. Again, it's another beautiful book, and I just love it. I just love it. If you want to hear me talk about it more, you can check out basically any other video, or my best books of 2020 video, or my June wrap up from 2020. I talked about a few of these books there, so yeah, this book is fantastic. The main character is bisexual. There's a bi-love triangle. It's good, okay? Trust me, it's good. Every Little Piece of My Heart by Non Pratt. This is a book about a girl who kind of disappears from life, and about the friends and kind of relationships she leaves behind. The main character, one of the main characters has lupus and is chronically ill, and it was very special to me, but she is also gay, and there is a sapphic romance, and it's very good, and I love it very much. And this book really touched very close to home for me because I connected with one of the main characters so much. So I gave this book like 4.5 stars, mainly because to me it was very special and like very like validating, I guess, and I felt really seen by it, so I loved it very much. If you're looking for a book with a disabled queer character, which I only know of one other, which is Lair of Dreams by Liv Bray, then pick up this book. It was really good. I really liked it. I think I gave it 4.5 stars. Was that my last book? No, The Lady's Guide to Celestial Mechanics. Historical fiction adult romance about lady astronomers who fall in love and fight the patriarchy. It's great. I gave it 4 stars. Also, Boyfriend Material, another adult romance book about fake dating and messy relationships. But if you are looking for more, oh, I'm out of focus, there we go. If you're looking for other adult romance books, then I would recommend that one. Okay, I think that's everything. I'm just going to quickly name a few books that are currently on my TBR for June, so if by some chance you've read every single one of these books, here's some other books you can read, I guess. A Dark and Hollow Star by Ashley Shuttleworth, Not My Problem by Kira Smith, The Henna Wars, oh, I've read that, although do read The Henna Wars, that's a great book. Late to the Party by Kelly Quinlan, Love and Other Natural Disasters by Misa Segura, Winter's Orbit by Everina Maxwell. What else is on my list? Sorry. Honey and Issues Guide to Fake Dating by Adiba Jagura, The Atlas 6 by Olivia somebody, The Grief Keeper by Alexandra Villasante, I Wish You All the Best by Mason Diva, and I think those are all the books I can think of off the top of my head that I've been meaning to read. And yeah, like I said, I've done a few of these videos before, and I still stand by all of those recommendations too, so check those out. Again, if you happen to have read all of these books, then you can find more there. Like, yeah, okay, I think that's everything. Like I said, I tried to include as many identities as I could. We've got bisexuality, probably pansexuality, but they can sometimes not be that defined. In books, lesbians, gay people, non-binary people, gender fluid people, aromantic people, asexual people. Oh, also Alatsoe by, I don't know their name, is a book I intend to read. It's a Mildred Gray book with an asexual main character too. So yes, that is everything for this year's Pride recommendations. I think I called my last video an all-you-can-eat LGBTQ plus recommendation video, and that kind of still stands. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it wasn't too much of a hot mess, and I hope you got some books to read. Yeah, I don't know what my next video is going to be. Maybe the mid-year book freak-out tag, perhaps, probably. My videos will still be pretty inconsistent as I'm currently doing therapy for my PTSD, trauma therapy, so that's kind of taking up a lot of my time and energy, but yeah, I'm going to try and be as regular as I can be. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Please leave a comment, I would really appreciate it. Let me know what books you plan to read for Pride Month, or like your favourite queer book you've read so far this year. I would love to know. I'm always after new recommendations. As you can tell, I read a very large amount of queer books, so I'm always looking for more. But yes, thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful rest of the day and have a wonderful Pride Month. If you need to ask me anything, I don't know, DM me on Twitter. I'm there pretty much all the time. So yes, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!